Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Tonight. Connor Hines with Lee Smith. It is
What's up?
November 7th, and Lee's fantasy football team is still undefeated in our league. How
Oh,
about that?
yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Never misses an opportunity.
It was a whole lot of hard work on my end, but you put in the hours, well, really the minutes and the seconds to pick a lineup.
Yeah. It's minutes and seconds for me, for sure.
Look, someone's got to do it,
Yep.
Got to do the heavy lifting around here. That's me.
Yep. How are we feeling about this week? Are good chance of staying undefeated? It would be 10-0.
No, I don't think I get to 10-0 this week. But you know what? That's all right. I got a little bit of wiggle room because everyone else is like
sucking.
Well, 2 games behind me at least. Everybody else is about 4 games. But, it's all right.
Yeah. Lee, it's a busy week around here, as many weeks are.
Is.
We talked to Atlanta United this afternoon, who still playing soccer. It's November 7th, and they're
crazy.
somehow still
Crazy,
playing
right?
soccer. Insane run. Winner take all Game 3 in Miami. This is one of the best MLS teams of all time in Inter Miami.
They have the best record, the regular season record for any MLS team ever.
It's ridiculous. And then
They
you
have the
look
most
at who
points.
they have.
They have the most points.
Then you look at who they have, and it's a bunch of European soccer legends.
It's a bunch of ex-Barcelona players. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, going to be a tall task down there on the road in Miami.
But they've already done that this year. They've won. They've won in Miami this year.
They've beaten this team twice already.
So it's not impossible.
You're saying there's a chance.
There is definitely a chance. It's not going to be easy, but there's a chance.
Definitely a chance. We got to catch up with the boys of the Five Stripes today, Rob Valentino, goalkeeper Brad Guzan, as they head down or get ready to head down to Miami. So let's take a listen to what they had to say.
He's day-to-day. I mean, he's been training on and off with the group, so we'll see. He's had a little bit of participation, then we pulled him out of the last part, and then hopefully full go tomorrow.
What is his issue?
He had an ankle, so one where he got kicked, and then one where it was non-contact and rolled it. So it's pretty impressive that he made it through the time that he did and how effective he actually was.
You are in a Game 3 last year against Columbus. Is there anything that you can take from that you can apply to this match against Miami?
They're just completely different scenarios. Like, we knew that going into it that this potentially could go to 3 games, and then you just try to take the preparation really is the big piece of like how you prepared for those games. They're different opponents, different year, lots of different players. So yeah, I don't take anything of like that part of like the actual game planning, but just the preparation is really the big piece of how you prepare for a 3rd game in a series.
You talked about being very deliberate with the training last week.
Intentionally, yeah.
Yeah, intentional. Based upon what y'all learned from Game 1 to apply to Game 2. I'm curious if there's anything you can share from us from Game 2 that y'all are working on for Game 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you guys got to see some of it there. It's the same. There's a lot of the same that we focused on earlier in the week, and then now we're looking at just transition moments. So whether it's on the attacking transition or on the defending transition, how we limit some opportunities, but how we also capitalize on the other end, because it can make or break a game. On the other part of it is going to be continued focus on set pieces, because in the playoffs that becomes a big emphasis. Without giving too much away, like that's kind of been the main parts of our focus.
Brad talked about the internal pressure y'all put on yourselves, but that from the outside, Miami is likely the one facing the most pressure because they have all the stars. So I'm curious if you agreed with that, and does that change anything? Yeah,
I mean, outside stuff is not. It's been like the theme of our team that we don't control that, so it's not our team either. So whatever the outside is saying is not our focus. Our focus is on ourselves. We have our own internal pressure individually, collectively as a team, and that's the pressure we put on ourselves to perform every day. So we're in a great position to be in the playoffs, and now we're hoping that the one game left that we got more after that. So,
Rob, when you took the interim job, you had to rebuild the self-esteem of the team. You guys were not where you are today. When the tide turns psychologically, the team looks better, they're happier, they're more confident. Does your job change at all?
In terms of like my day-to-day work?
Yeah. When you feel like you've gotten them to a point where they're more confident, what changes about your job?
Nothing. You really have to stay the same. Like I tell them, just stay the course, be where your feet are, be present, don't let your highs get too high and your lows too low. So it's really remaining consistent in our messaging, consistent in our daily work. I think earlier on we were talking about when's our tide going to turn, when's that luck going to break per se, and that's just about consistency. So no, like I think sometimes I even get paranoid if things are going quote unquote well, that hey, don't get too high on it, and because that could turn easily. And everything in life is temporary. So whether it's been bad moments or good moments, everything in life is temporary. So I always try to stay grounded in that.
I asked Brad this similar question. You know, Messi, for his standard, a bit quiet against you guys.
Don't say that.
But
Don't
again,
say that.
I know. Still had his moments that were pretty decisive. But what changes when now you transfer the plan against him to their home stadium, their home pitch, where you know the game may turn in their favor early?
Well, nothing changes in terms of where the venue is for me. Yeah, I won't. The Messi is fantastic, and there is no slander on my end. He's a fantastic player. Whether people say he's produced, not produced, I don't want to hear it because he's fantastic. So, and again, that doesn't change for the venue. Like, we have to have a really good start. We have to be really aware of where he's at amongst the other players. I've touched on it before. Like, yeah, they've got the four of them. The bigger name players are fantastic, but then they've got good guys around them. And then again, Tata is a great coach, so he's always getting the best out of his group, I feel like. But the venue won't change our approach in that sense. It's just making sure that we start the game right. So you touched on that a little bit. Like that part's really important, of making sure, obviously, in the first game we go down a goal early on, and then even in the second game, in the beginning of the second, or later in the first half, we go down a goal. So if we can be on the other end of that, it can lead us in a better spot.
Can you share what you and Tata, that moment you had after game two?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it was pretty loud, but what did you guys say?
Yeah, game two was a little different. I obviously the way we scored the last goal, my composure was gone, I would say, and I celebrated, and I out of the respect I have for him, I didn't feel like that was maybe appropriate, and so I was apologizing on that. Not apologizing that we won the game or anything like that. I would like to have more composure to go and then say good game, and that was that part, and then just saying great job, like we'll see you again. It's what we said to each other on the last time, was that see you Saturday. So I'll see him again Saturday. I've got just so much respect for him, and it's been an honor coaching against him, and looking forward to competing one more time against him.
Knowing him well, do you think he might try to do anything different, anything surprising on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him that well, and he's never going to tell me anything to get that advantage or give up an advantage. So, no, I'm just focused on our group and what I can control out of our group.
How hard is it to prepare to go up against the team that you played 3 times ago?
It's hard with the personnel that they have. Like, they're just a fantastic team. I've said it every time I stand in front of you, and they've got great players, great coach, and they've got a great way of playing. They were the best team throughout the regular season, and they proved that time and time again. So it's being hyper alert in every single moment. We've touched on this a lot throughout the year and different opponents we played, but in this time of the year in the playoffs, and it can be one moment that changes the course of your season. So that's a big part of it. Like, playing them 3 times or however many times we've actually played them, by the end of it, I don't know how much advantage it gives you or disadvantage, or it's just more preparation. Every scenario is different. Every game that we'll have played against them, I'm sure there will have been a different lineup. So it's just living in the moment and taking the opportunity that we get.
Going back to what you said about the highs and the lows and being where your feet are, I feel like that can be tough to do. We're human. So with you and your players, what do you really tell them to try and keep them grounded and focused on the day-to-day?
The same of what you just said to me is that I keep repeating those words. Really focus on what you can control. It sounds like a broken record. It sounds maybe corny, or you see it on a poster board somewhere or on an Instagram post, but I really believe that stuff. It is difficult. Like, yeah, there's distraction all around you. There's social media. There's life on the outside. People have kids. People have different family members, girlfriends, all the different things that you have, and I don't mean to say that they're distractions, because my family is not a distraction to me, but there's life outside of what we do here. So it's just really being present and making sure that you're focused on, when we show up here, we do our job to the best of our ability. We focus on being intentional and getting better, whether it's a game against Miami or it was a game mid-season.
Brad said there wasn't a lot that changed for you guys between game 1 and game 2 tactically. But do you agree with that? And just in terms of the longer you guys can keep it 0-0 and kind of work yourself into the game?
Yeah, I mean, consistency is really important. So in terms of how much are we going to change tactically from game to game, like we are where we are. We've got the personnel we have, and so it's not like there's going to be you won't see a huge change. We change the shape, so there's a little bit of that wrinkle from game 1 to game 2. Game 2 to game 3, we'll look at ways we can be more effective in possession and also limit their chances out of possession. And whether it's 0-0, I don't want to look at the mentality of being that passive or like how long can we keep it 0-0. I mean, it's starting on the front foot and making sure we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. That part's really important.
Rob, how important has Brad been in your recent games and really throughout the season, not just with his saves, his goalkeeping, but also his characteristics as a leader in the team and a communicator?
Yeah, I've said it all year long, he's been fantastic. He's a consistent person. He shows up to do the job to the best visibility. The focus and intentionality that he puts on his job is pretty impressive when you get to see it up close. He has a laugh and a joke, and you see him enjoy every single day. When it comes time to work, it's time to work, and you can almost see it in his eyes, the focus shift. He's also started to really, I would say, come to really good form in the playoffs or in the big moments. And I think that's because he's seen it. He's been around it. He's got quality in a lot of different ways. He shows it on the field and he shows it in the locker room. And yeah, I'm happy he's on our side.
Among the players, who is the best at being where their feet are and keeping everyone else kind of in that same mental space?
Shoot, I don't know about that. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't have one person that sticks out in my mind from a player standpoint.
Is that good or bad?
It's great. I mean, that's the best thing about it. Like, they're players, they should focus on just playing and being. Sometimes it's like happy-go-lucky. They show up, they do their job. Someone tells them what they should be doing, where to eat, where to be, all those things. Like, that is somewhat of a like, all right, you're blocking out noise, and you're just like, all right, my schedule says I should be here at this time, go here at this time, and so some part of that's great. I think there's leaders in there that might help with that in a quiet way, but I don't have that insight in terms of where they're at in the locker room all the time.
And PKs, obviously, could end in a draw, go to PKs. Any extra work on that this week compared to other weeks?
The same that we talked about with the Leagues Cup. We did the preparation there. They do stuff sometimes after training. That's been relatively the same.
How did you rate the matchup in Game 2 between Saba and Jordi Alba? How important is that in your team's success?
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, another fantastic player. Saba was playing in a different position. He played there, obviously, in the later stages, or as we had to make the subs in Miami. There was a focus that he had to have on him attacking, and then on the vice versa on the other side, like he had to go and attack at him or at their left side. So it was a back and forth matchup for sure. Saba's got a lot of quality for us. He's been very consistent in delivering in some key moments here. He's a team player, so it's about how he can help and contribute to the team. And it'll be the same for me going into the next game, wherever he plays, what position.
Rob, do you expect to get your full 8 hours of sleep on Friday night? Knowing that
8 hours. I'll never get that.
Yeah, you have kids, so it's like, but honestly, like the anxiety, the expectation, the opportunity. You guys win this game, and it's major news to eliminate the favorite. Is that in your mind? Is that something that you discussed perhaps with those closest to you, the players?
Yeah, no, I haven't discussed anything apart from like we talked about being where my feet are. I tried 8 hours. I never get anyway, so the amount of sleep I get is not relevant to the game. It's just maybe more relevant to my schedule the next day. But yeah, I don't put any, like, if I start thinking about what might be ahead, I'm gonna miss the moment. I'll cross that bridge whenever it comes, whatever that result is. I'm happy to be in this position, to be where we're at, to be able to compete, to put ourselves in this spot. So I'm just really gonna enjoy it by doing the best we can and put my full focus on putting 100% into this game.
How do you cope with anxiety? What do you do?
I do some guided meditation. Sometimes that's I would say consistently on a daily basis. Not always. I do my best to get there, but there's guided meditation. Sometimes cold plunge, whether that's like a fad, but I usually do it after a workout, something like that. I talk a lot, so I talk to people. that's really important. I mean, I've got a great support system in my family. My wife has been my biggest supporter since I was 16 years old, so she's seen the highs, the lows, and everything in between. My kids don't listen all the time anyway, so it's just sometimes you're just talking to talk. But yeah, they give me a sounding board, and it's not at this moment. It's not the anxiety. It's just like I'm excited. Like I'm happy that we're in this position. I'm excited to play the game. So I'm sure the players are the same. Like I want Saturday night to come because these are the moments we live for. We love playing under the lights. You know, whether it's home, whether it's away. I mean, last Saturday night was amazing. So looking forward to something like that in a different environment.
Alrighty, there he is, Rob Valentino, trying to take Atlanta to the next stage of this playoff tournament. It's just been an insane run, and we'll see how long they can keep the mojo going.
Hopefully, at least one more game.
Yep, hopefully at least one more game. That would be pretty unreal to knock off Miami, but got to do that first. Another local, I guess, the other kind of football.
The other, Bailey always goes from
football
to football.
Yeah, exactly. Falcons are in great shape, man. Driver's seat of the NFC South, best start since 2016. And now you got to go on the road this weekend to New Orleans, a team that just fired their head coach.
Oh, no. By Dennis Allen.
We talked about it earlier, or we talked about it yesterday to Raheem Morris a little bit. I mean, this is a situation he was in during his first stint in Atlanta.
With the Falcons.
I mean,
like he was the interim coach. Yeah.
It's just pretty insane.
It's weird how like this business is like a full circle.
Right. It's pretty insane to think about just how far Atlanta has come just in that time since Raheem Morris was first in Atlanta in what would that have been 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
So things have changed quite a bit. New Orleans is struggling. I believe the Saints are 2-7.
Yeah.
Not
but good.
It's another
They're
divisional
struggling.
Game. They're struggling.
They just traded their star cornerback Marshawn Lattimore.
Yep.
Let's see. Who else? They still got Kamara. He's still going to be a force on the ground.
I believe Taysom Hill is going to be ready for this game.
Taysom Hill.
Who has had the Falcons' number, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
Every time he's played Atlanta, and at least recent past. So, I mean, it's another, like, you're going on the road in the NFL. It's a game.
But Raheem was saying yesterday that, like, sometimes a coaching change from an underperforming team can be that a little spark that they need to just pull upsets, like left and right, and actually get back on a winning track of some sorts.
Which is exactly what the Falcons did in 2020 with Raheem Morris against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings.
Full circle.
The week after
the
Dan
NFL
Quinn
is
was
like
fired.
it's such a weird, like quirky thing.
Full circle, everything's connected. So we heard from quite a few Falcons yesterday, including some of the usual suspects on the offensive side of the ball, getting ready for this matchup with the Saints. So let's hear from them. Nope.
Hey, just looking back over the course of the season, how has the pass protection evolved for you guys?
It's been really good. Obviously, you know, we started off the season against arguably the toughest pass rush you can play in the league with those two edge players, the interior players that they have with the Steelers. And, you know, you look back at that game and that doesn't feel like us really at all. But those guys have done a great job. You know, there's some new pass protection schemes that we're asking those guys to do dating back to the spring that has, you know, like everything, just takes a little bit of time to work through. But in the known passing situations, you know, the third down, some of the second down and longers, those guys is strain, and blocking for a quarterback that is typically in the pocket is always the hardest thing for an offensive line. But the thing with Kirk is you know exactly, you know, typically where he's going to be. So those guys have figured out where to strain to, where Kirk can find that soft spot in the pocket, and they've done an unbelievable job. I mean, they're the reason we are where we are in terms of, you know, being able to be efficient throwing the football. So those guys bring it every single week. We know they love running the football. That's been their pass, but adding the extra, you know, pass protection to, you know, drop back pass protection to their arsenal has been awesome. So those guys get better every single week, and they're all just been super steady the whole season long.
What's been the key to firming the interior of the pocket? And then have you all had to McGarry has struggled in the past against elite speed rushers, but it looks like he's doing fine now.
Caleb's been playing great. He's played great, really dating back to the spring and in training camp. I mean, Coach Ledford obviously has coached him a long time, and I remember 2 weeks into the training camp, he's like, "This is the best Caleb's ever looked," and it's just carried over through the season. And so he's been great pass protection wise. The interior of the pocket, like you're saying, is obviously the most important thing with any quarterback, but especially, our guy. And so, pass protection schemes, making sure that we are firm there. But then those guys with the way Bergeron's played, the way Newsel stepped in, kind of anchoring down in the middle there. And then Lindstrom's been great just in every facet, like you guys have seen for a long time. So those guys have done a great job, man, and just can't say enough about them.
Zach, you mentioned that week 1 game against the Steelers, and that's your first regular season game as a play caller, and you're playing that defense. What's going through your head after that game? And obviously things have changed rapidly since then, but are you having doubts? Are you like, everyone is not TJ Watt, but
Yeah, no, it was a tough ride home, I'll tell you that, knowing that what we left out on the field and just the feeling that it had after that game, knowing it could have been so much cleaner from my part, from everything that went into it. So, of course, you leave that sick about any loss that you have, but that one especially was tough. But we have definitely evolved. We evolved really the next week, when you looked at Philly and how we kind of attacked that game plan. It's just all kind of grown from really week 2 and on. So you can sometimes get some false tells in training camp, with some things. You're playing the same defense over and over. So you think you have a pretty good feel for some of the things you want to activate, and then, you got to adjust every single week to the defense you're playing. And so definitely think we've all gotten a lot better from then, and knowing that just repetition is the mother learning for me, for all the guys. And so the more that they've gotten together and the chemistry that keeps on growing with those guys has been really cool to see over the course of the season.
Do you have any conversations after that, maybe on the way home or otherwise, with someone who said, look, it's not going to always be, it's going to,
Yeah, I think there's coaches, and you talk to, whether you win, you lose, like you're having conversations with guys around the league that you stay close with, and they're asking you questions. Hey, what were you guys doing on this? I thought, so that's no matter if you win or lose. But obviously, had some conversations with guys that say, hey man, you guys had a good plan, stick to it, trust your process, trust all those things. And so, that always helps, and that goes for any coach out there. You always have your friends in this business, knowing like how hard it is. And so, anytime you can reach out or have people reach out is pretty cool.
Is there anything you learned from that game, or at least maybe in the last 9 weeks or so, the biggest thing you've learned?
Man, a lot. It feels like that was, like we've said it multiple times, that feels like it was 2 years ago. But there's been so many things that have transpired, since then. It's hard to pinpoint one thing.
Another day of work here, just putting in the prep. At week 10 here, you kind of start to just have your process, have your routine, and execute it. I think it's so important, though, that each week is fresh, that you don't start going through motions, but that you show up and you have an edge to your preparation just like you would any other week. When you get to the guts of the season, it's so important that you're playing your best football, but that you're also preparing your best each week too. So just have to continue to maintain our edge every single day as we move towards Sunday, and was reminded of that again today. But I will take any questions you may have.
Kurt, the walkthrough Wednesday, how's that being received?
Yeah.
How was it to be able to, come out and do, mental sharp, just preparations going through your walkthrough as opposed to, a regular practice?
Yeah, it's well received. I remember as a rookie, Coach Shanahan, as the year went on, began to work walkthroughs in more often. And as a college player, that was my only background was college. I always thought, more is more, and that to go full speed is the only way. And so it surprised me at first as a rookie that we would do so many walkthroughs, but then I realized how fresh we were in December and January and how much better we were playing. And also mentally, when you're going walkthrough pace, you cover more plays in a shorter amount of time. So the ability to talk through things and rep things, there's a lot of value there. It's a trade-off. Certainly there's benefits to going full speed as well, but you just can't get the volume done that we could. So that's where, again, though, tomorrow when you do get the full speed reps, those reps carry that much more importance to really get things covered and make sure you get a good look and make sure you're talking through those plays. But I think you can really benefit yourself, not just today or this week, but as you move later into the season, you can benefit from some of the days where you're not piling on the physical demands.
And over the course of the season, how would you say the offensive lines, pass, or the whole unit's pass protection has evolved?
Yeah, I think they've done a really solid job. Been very pleased with the pockets I've had. I think you all have seen on some critical plays in the last 2 weeks, 2 of our touchdown passes. It was a pretty, spacious pocket that I was getting back to the backside of the progression in both cases. And you can only do that when your protection is as sound as it was. We do ask a lot of them in protection. It's a difficult job. They're not going to bat 1,000, but they've done a really good job of answering that challenge week after week.
Often, this is a hard thing to quantify, I'm sure. Are you able to get to your third or even fourth progression on a play?
I think it happens. It happens more than you may think. I think if 1 or 2 are open, no reason not to stick with them. But the minute you feel like 1 or 2 are dicey, you got to progress. And sometimes you can get through your progressions very quickly. Just the coverage kind of tells you before the ball's even in your hands. Sometimes, hey, this is going to be tough to get to what may be down the field, and I can progress quickly. Which again, I'm trying to help our offensive line by doing that and progressing quickly and not asking them to hold on forever. There's other moments where you feel like, hey, I see the coverage, is a certain way, but if I can manipulate it, then maybe I can get number 1 open, even though, the built-in part of the coverage is going to take it away. So you try to play that game, but not get too cute, and you're just always trying to get better at, should I stay with 1? Should I get backside to 3? Could I have used shoulders and eyes to get number 1 open? And that's quarterbacking. That's why training camp in my 13th year is so important, and those full-speed reps are so important because you're always trying to fine-tune that.
All right, getting to a couple other things before we wrap up here. The Georgia Bulldogs on the road in Oxford. Lee, you will be there. We are expecting some rain.
A little bit of rain.
UGA 2.5
hurricane,
point favorite.
Whatever.
Maybe a loss that UGA could afford, but certainly a game that, oh my goodness, I mean, it would make you feel a lot better.
I don't know if anybody can really afford to lose right now.
UGA has one loss already.
They want to be in the SEC championship, and they want to win the SEC championship to get that first round bye in the playoffs. So that's what's really at stake for them. But you know what? They got to win this one because they do have Tennessee coming in next week. So it's going to be pretty hard 2 little game stretch right here.
And look, I mean, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, they're pretty desperate to win right now.
Well, they've already lost 2 games.
They've lost 2 games.
They lost to Kentucky.
Yep.
And LSU.
3:30 on Saturday. Is that right?
3:30. Yep. 3:30.
The Hawks played their most complete game of the year. Zachary Reese-Ashe, the rookie, number 1 overall pick, went off for 33 points. Come on now.
Dude, he was draining threes left and right, and he was the Hawks' leading scorer.
Impressive.
And if he had had 1 more point, he would have tied Karl Anthony Towns for the game's score, game's leading scorer. So
Hawks beat the Knicks 121 to 116. Back on the road to take on the Pistons on Friday. Just a really complete game for Atlanta. So they're 4-5 on the year, I believe.
But good for Reese-Ashe to get in there and have a career high day.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's a very long season, everybody.
It is. It's long season.
Perhaps a too long of a season. Baseball fan can't speak, though. Time for everybody's favorite segment. Lee Smith, what's on your mind?
Okay, so Alabama LSU is the night game after UGA. All right, so LSU is bringing back Mike the Tiger. He's going to be in the stadium on Saturday night. I mean, who doesn't love a live tiger in the stadium?
Tigers by a million, right?
Come on.
Tigers by a million.
Well, not by a million, but I'm a big fan of Mike the Tiger.
That's pretty incredible.
Big fan.
Rest in peace, Raygun, the breakdancer from the Paris Olympics, is going into retirement. She has not actually passed away. She is no longer breakdancing.
So it should be RIR.
RIR. That's going to do it for Sports Tonight. He's Lee. I'm Connor. In the words of Ellie Parker, go watch some sports, guys.